Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Screenstars. I'm here today to bring you my review for the 2025 science fiction horror Ash. The film is directed by Flying Lotus, and it stars Elza Gonzalez. We have Aaron Paul. We have Iko Uwais, Kate Elliott, and Flying Lotus as well is in the film. Right. Okay, this is a film that focuses on a group of astronauts stroke explorers. They have been tasked with making a distant planet inhabitable for human life. So essentially, this crew has gone to this planet, they've landed, and it's their job to make that planet inhabitable for humankind for future generations. However, Elza Gonzalez's character, Rhea, wakes up, no memory of A, who she is, or B, what has happened, but discovers that the whole of her crew has been brutally murdered. Then Aaron Paul's character, Brian, turns up, who was essentially in orbit kind of observing the mission and stuff. He comes down because he sees there's been a distress signal, and they have to essentially investigate what has gone on and how the rest of the crew has been brutally murdered. It turns out that they are not alone on this alien planet. And things from that point onwards get incredibly monstrous. Right, what are my thoughts on Ash? Well, I've been quite looking forward to this one. I saw a couple of early previews of this, people talking about it. There was some early buzz that this was, pretty good. So I have definitely been looking forward to this. I saw the trailer for this several months ago, and I thought, again, it looked interesting. Sci-fi horror, I'm all over that. Definitely is my cup of tea for sure. However, while I do think this is got some strong moments in it, I mean, it is very stylized, it's very atmospheric, and it has some genuine moments of horror and terror in it. It's also incredibly slow paced. I think the first half of the film is very frustrating to watch because so we've got Elza Gonzalez's character. Like I say, she wakes up, she's no memory of what's gone on, everybody's been brutally murdered, but it's one of those films where she keeps having flashes of flashbacks of what's gone on, very violent flashbacks, but they only happen, very briefly and very violently, sort of thing. So you never really get a full picture. So it's one of those films that it just doesn't give you any answers, not really. And the only time you get any answers is you're a bit fatigued with the film, which is a shame because, like I say, it has a lot going for it. This film, it's got strong production values, strong cast, interesting direction, but they've kind of not put in the film compelling characters. I was quite on board with Elza Gonzalez's character up to a point. There's a point in the film where my interest in her kind of fell off a cliff a bit because of something she does. But beyond that, we've got a lot of characters here in this film that we're not given an opportunity to get to know. Either at the beginning of the film, because the beginning of the film basically starts, generally speaking, with her waking up and not having memory, or in the flashbacks. And the only time you ever really get any extended time with this crew is when, if you like, the curtain is lifted, or you get all the answers, and there's an extended scenario as to what has happened, as to why everyone died. You do get them answers later in the film, but like I say, it's hard to kind of relate and feel any connection to people where terrible things are happening to them when you don't know them. And I think that's one of the biggest mistakes that this film makes. And like I said, the first half of the film is very poorly paced. it suggests a lot, it hints a lot, but there's also a lot of exposition that kind of goes over your head, from my perspective anyway, and frustration because, like I say, you're just getting these flashes of what's going on, and you just kind of you want to know what's going on. However, I am pleased to say that the second half of the film, in my opinion, saves it somewhat. The pace picks up dramatically. The answers that you get make more sense, even though some of the answers that you get frustrate you quite a lot, especially with some characters in the film, and I'm not going to spoil who, because they make some incredibly stupid decisions. But at that point, then, the second half of the film, it kind of was a reminder to me of like almost like Prometheus crossed with the video game Dead Space. It got very gruesome, very violent. You get the alien life form thing. You get answers. And I mean, essentially, it's two species fighting over a planet. Really, we've landed on this planet to kind of make it uninhabitable for us, but we never considered that there might actually be something there already that doesn't want us there. The arrogance of humanity, I suppose, and that's always been the same, and it'll never change in regards to our species, I presume. So, I mean, I did enjoy the second half of this film considerably more than the first half. Like I say, it's quite dark as well. Now, I know why it's dark. I know the look that he's going for, the director. But there's only so many dark corridors and flickering lights you can take in a film like this, and it just becomes problematic. So you've got dark corridors, flickering lights, a red glow over everything, and I get it. The space station. I mean, the space base where she's at is malfunctioning consistently and constantly. But does that mean that we can't see anything ever? Really? There were some pretty cool scenes with they've got this surgery bot, I suppose is the best way to describe it, and I thought that was cool. How it was quite amusing actually. It'd do like a scan of you. And then tell you what its diagnosis is, and then deal with it. It'll do surgery right there and then, sort of thing. But also as well, it will scan like dead bodies and tell you what the cause of death was. And there's one crew member. It scans them and then tells you what the cause of death was, which was a blunt force trauma to the head. And then it shows a diagram at the bottom of this big club hitting this person on the head. And then as a message underneath saying, "We are sorry for your loss," which I thought was quite amusing, really. That was quite an amusing aspect of the film. But, I mean, a big chunk of this film is really Elsa Gonzalez's character and Aaron Paul's character interacting, debating, arguing, that kind of stuff as to, okay, what's gone on, what we're going to do about it, so on and so forth, until the second half of the film when it all kind of hits the fan. If that's the right expression for this film. So I do think there's a missed opportunity here. I think this really could have been a very memorable sci-fi horror if they'd have made a few tweaks here and there. As it is, it's certainly a watchable sci-fi horror. I think a lot of people will struggle with the pace of it. A lot of people will probably struggle with some of the daft decisions that characters make in this film. And maybe a lot of people will struggle in regards to the fact that it's essentially just, for a big chunks of this film, just two characters interacting. So that's my thoughts on Ash. Let me know your thoughts if you've seen it or if you're interested in seeing it. And I will, of course, be back with plenty more reviews and content on the channel very, very soon.